A 23-year-old woman goes to sleep on the balcony of her cruise ship cabin. Her father checks on her at 5:30 in the morning. She is there, asleep, breathing. At 6 a.m., she is gone. Her sandals are still on the balcony floor, her cigarettes untouched beside them. The ocean stretches in every direction, empty and silent. But Amy Bradley did not fall overboard, because 1 year later, a United States Navy sailor walked into a brothel on the island of Curaçao, and a woman grabbed his arm, looked him in the eyes, and said, "My name is Amy Bradley. Please, help me." He walked away, and for 7 years, he told nobody. This is the story of what happens when a woman disappears in international waters, and the people who could have saved her chose not to.
Amy Lynn Bradley was 23 years old. She lived in Virginia. She had a good job, a new apartment, and a dog she had just adopted before the trip. By every account from people who knew her, she was someone moving forward, someone with plans. In March 1998, her family, Father Ron, Mother Iva, and younger brother Brad, boarded the Rhapsody of the Seas for a Caribbean cruise, a vacation, something ordinary families do every year. The ship's route took them through Puerto Rico, Aruba, and Curaçao. Warm water, island stops, steel drum music on the deck at sunset. On the night of March 23rd, Amy danced at the ship's nightclub. She was enjoying herself. She was 23 years old and on vacation with her family. She would never be seen by them again.
That night, Amy caught the attention of a member of the ship's entertainment band, a group called Blue Orchid, a musician who went by the nickname Yellow. He paid her significant attention throughout the evening. Witnesses noticed. At around 3:30 in the morning, Amy told him she was going to sleep, that they would see each other in the morning. She went to her cabin, stepped out onto the balcony, and lay down. Her father, Ron, woke up at 5:30 a.m. to get a glass of water. He looked out. Amy was on the balcony, asleep. At 6 a.m., he woke again. The balcony was empty. Her sandals, her cigarettes, still there. Amy, gone. What happened in those 30 minutes has never been explained. No camera footage, no witnesses, no sound. Just a balcony, a pair of sandals, and open ocean in every direction. When the Bradley family ran to the ship's crew and begged them not to let anyone disembark until Amy was found, the response was extraordinary in its indifference. They were told it was too early to panic, that Amy was probably having a good time in someone else's cabin. A 23-year-old woman was missing on a ship in the middle of the ocean, and the crew's primary concern, according to the Bradley family, was the reputation of the cruise line. The family suspected the crew immediately. They had watched musicians from the Blue Orchid Band pay aggressive attention to Amy all evening. They had seen the way the ship's staff deflected every question. Ron Bradley later said it plainly. From the moment they reported Amy missing, they felt they were being managed, not helped. The ship docked at Curaçao. Amy was not on it.
When the ship docked at Curaçao, Ron Bradley went ashore alone. He walked the streets, showed Amy's photograph to anyone who would look. A taxi driver stopped him. He said that earlier that morning, a young woman matching Amy's description had approached him. She was agitated. She said she urgently needed to make a phone call, but didn't know where to find a payphone. He didn't know where one was. She walked away. That was the last confirmed sighting of Amy Bradley as a free person. Think about what that means. In the window between 6 a.m., when her father found the balcony empty, and that morning on the streets of Curaçao, someone had moved Amy Bradley off that ship, through a crew, past security, onto an island. Nobody saw how. 5 months after Amy disappeared, 2 Canadian tourists were on a beach in Curaçao. They saw a woman. They approached her because something felt wrong. She seemed disoriented, frightened. She was with men who stayed close. The tourists looked at her arms, her shoulder, her lower back. She had tattoos that matched Amy Bradley's exactly. A Tasmanian devil holding a basketball on her shoulder, a sun on her lower back, a Chinese character on her right ankle. The woman said nothing. The men with her moved her away before any further conversation was possible. The tourists reported what they saw. Investigators took note. But here is what nobody could explain. Amy's tattoos were distinctive enough that the FBI had used them as primary identifiers in their missing persons bulletin. The statistical probability of another woman having all three in the same locations is effectively zero.
1 year after Amy Bradley vanished, a United States Navy sailor on shore leave visited a brothel on the island of Curaçao. A woman approached him. She was American. She looked desperate in the specific way that people look desperate when they have been desperate for a very long time and have almost stopped believing rescue is possible. She told him her name was Amy Bradley. She grabbed his arm. She asked him to help her. She told him she needed to get out. He panicked. He was a Navy sailor in a brothel in a foreign port. He was afraid of what reporting this would mean for his career, for his reputation, for his life. He walked out. He said nothing. For 7 years. In 2005, he saw Amy's face in a People magazine article about unsolved disappearances. He recognized her immediately. Only then did he come forward. 7 years, while Amy Bradley, if it was her, remained wherever she was. The sailor was never charged with any crime.
In 2005, 7 years after Amy disappeared, her parents received an email. It contained a photograph pulled from an escort services website. The woman in the image bore a striking resemblance to Amy. Same facial structure, same features. The photograph showed a woman in a compromising position. The parents and investigators who reviewed it noted she appeared to be under the influence of something. Her eyes were present but distant, in the specific way that suggests chemical compliance rather than willing participation. The FBI examined the photograph. They could not definitively confirm it was Amy. They could not definitively rule it out. The website was traced to the Caribbean region. The image was removed shortly after investigators began inquiring about it. No one was identified. No one was located. No arrest was ever made. The photograph remains part of the open FBI file on Amy Bradley.
6 years after the disappearance, a tourist named Ann Benson was in a department store on the island of Barbados. In a bathroom, she encountered a woman who was crying. 2 men stood outside the door, waiting. Ann offered help. The woman looked at her with an expression Ann later described as someone calculating whether help was even possible. Then the woman spoke. She said, "I cannot talk to anyone." And then she said 4 words that Ann Benson has never forgotten. "I'm Amy, from Virginia." The men outside moved her away before anything else could be said. Ann Benson reported the encounter to authorities immediately. Investigators traveled to Barbados. They found no trace of the woman, no security footage, no records, nothing.
Amy Bradley's case remains open with the FBI. She would be 49 years old today. 3 separate witnesses across 3 different islands reported seeing the woman matching her description, in distress, accompanied by men, unable to speak freely. One of those witnesses heard her say her own name. The cruise line was never held criminally responsible. The musicians from Blue Orchid were interviewed and released. The sailor who walked away from a woman begging for help faced no legal consequences. International waters are a legal gray zone. Crimes committed on cruise ships fall between the jurisdictions of the ship's flag nation, the passenger's home country, and whatever port they happen to be near. In practice, they fall through the cracks. Amy Bradley fell through those cracks, and the ocean keeps no records.
There are places on this earth where people disappear, and the system is specifically designed to make sure no one is accountable. International waters, island ports, the space between jurisdictions. Amy Bradley walked into that space on March 24, 1998. If you know anything, the FBI tip line is still active. The link is in the description. If this story stayed with you, subscribe. We'll be back.